In 25 words or less, what is a typeface? Susanna Litko answers this question with, a typeface is the ornamental manifestation of the alphabet. If the alphabet conveys words, a typeface conveys their tone, style, and attitude. That is a great thing to keep in mind when we're talking about type design. Susanna Litko, born 1961 in Bratislava, now known as Czechoslovakia, emigrated to the United States when she was a little girl and designed her first typeface when she was a young girl as well. Her father was a biomathematician, and he needed a Greek typeface designed for a class he was teaching, so she offered to do it for him, and that was really the beginning of her type design career. They were lucky because they had a computer in their house, which at the time was rare, so she was able to use a computer from a very young age, as well as design typefaces from a very young age. You could say she really got the best start she possibly could have for the career that she would later go on to have. So Susanna Litko went to the university at Berkeley, California, and studied architecture, photography, and computer programming before she finally settled down and got a degree in graphic communications, which was the only kind of graphic degree available. So this is a quote from Mike Dooley, 1998 American Institute of Graphic Arts, and it's a great description of what Susanna Litko has endured as a typeface designer, starting in the 70s and the 80s and working successfully all the way to today. And this would be one of the many, many magazine covers that Litko designed for Emigre magazine. This is the 38th issue and featured many of her typefaces. Question the obvious. That's Litko's maxim, and you have to ask yourself what she means by that. In my mind, questioning the obvious is, really pushing the limits of design, and you hear that a lot, push the limits of design. But I think in her case, just because a serif typeface would work, maybe you should try a sans serif. Maybe the other way is also true. Maybe using a retro font to make something look new will work. I think really pushing the boundaries of typography is what Litko is into, and it's obvious in her work when you look at Base 9 or Mrs. Eves or Philosophia that this is really what she's tried to achieve in her work. This fact right here says more about Susanna Litko than anything else I could tell you today. Susanna Litko, when the Mac computer came out for desktop, she went out, she got one, and she started designing typefaces on it. She was one of the first people out there, along with her partner Rudy Vanderlins, to use a Macintosh desktop computer in the design world. She was a pioneer of the Mac. How many designers do you know that use Macs today? Almost all of them. You hardly ever find a designer using a PC or, a pen and paper to do all of their design work. This is a quote by Massimo Vignelli about Susanna Litko's typography. He really didn't like anything that she did, ever. But I guess, at this point she's sort of proved him wrong. She's very successful. This is Low Res, designed in 1985 by Susanna Litko, and it certainly does look like it was designed in 1985. It's very much a bitmap typeface, and I don't really think it has any real use today, unless you're doing something that you want to look retro, and a lot of people do want to do that very thing. You want to talk about someone that was ahead of their time. Base 9 and 12, which is the typeface on screen, was ahead of its time. This typeface was designed in 1995, and I'm repeating myself, but once again, this is a typeface that could have been designed yesterday. It's just a nice, quality typeface that has uses everywhere. You could look anywhere and find this typeface and think it looked great. This is a great example of how Susanna Litko was really ahead of her time. This is a typeface she designed in 1988, and I would say that it looks like something that someone could have designed yesterday. I don't particularly like the way it looks, but it definitely still holds a very modern appeal, It's very smooth, crisp lines, which is something that you didn't see a lot of in 1988. And I think that she really was ahead of her time and remains ahead of her time even today as a designer and a typographer. This is yet another Emigre font, magazine cover with Susanna Litko's typeface Dogma on it. And this is Dogma, a few different kinds. So here we have Mrs. Eves, and Mrs. Eves, I gotta say, is just a great typeface. I'm a little bit biased, I use it a lot. It's based on the work of John Baskerville and named for his mistress, and I think Mrs. Eves has really revamped serifs. It's great. It's a bigger family, so you can use it for lots of stuff, and it's one of Susanna Litko's better known typefaces at this point. It's been listed as one of the best typefaces of our years. I mean, if you're looking for a good, solid serif that's still really a lot of fun to use, this is the one to use. It's just great. You can see all of the different families. These are the ones I have that are on the screen. And I've used it for different projects. It's great in large blocks of text, and it's great as a headline. So, Philosophia is another Susanna Litko typeface. And what can I say about it? I hate it. I think that it is just not a very good typeface. I feel that it really kind of counteracts how great Mrs. Eves is. Because as a typeface, it doesn't feel new. It doesn't feel better. The unicase, as you can see on the screen, is just an odd mashup of upper and lower case. It's really, I just don't like it personally as a typeface. You can decide for yourself, obviously. I guess I wouldn't mind seeing it in headlines. But otherwise, Philosophia, not my favorite typeface on earth. And Mrs. Eves, probably one of my favorite typefaces on earth. So, Susanna Litko and I, we really go back and forth, don't we? Here we see one of Litko's most recent typefaces called Solex, designed in 2000. I think Solex is a great typeface. Use it if you got it. If you don't got it, get it. You have lots of different options with it. These are just 3 options that you have here. And it's just a very classy, very usable piece of type. I think it's right up there with her best typefaces, along with Mrs. Eves. I mean, just look at it. You know what a good typeface looks like. I think this is what a good typeface looks like right here. And I think most of you would agree. I'm sorry, but this is not a typeface. These are images, but I don't get to classify that. This is Susanna Litko's most recent typeface. It's called Puzzler. It came out in 2005. I really don't see a use for a typeface that has no use in the communication world. These pieces of type don't communicate anything. Even with dingbats, you get some form of communication. But these are nothing. These are designs. They look like they could be in a coloring book or wrapping paper even. But as typefaces go, you're not setting a brochure in this. You're not making a poster with this. You might use it in the background of a poster, but you're certainly not going to be able to communicate anything to anyone that they would understand. So we've sort of reached the end of this little session about Susanna Litko, and I want to leave you with something that she said, and that is that nothing is permanent, yet there is much value in the reincarnation of classics. And if you look at Litko's work, you can really see that she believes that. And I think it's something that we should all take into account, because she uses things that she made 10 years ago today. And she's known for using older typefaces and redesigning them, using the work of John Baskerville to make a new typeface. It's just great. So that's, if you take nothing else away from it, take this away from it. This is just a great piece of information. Write it down on a sticky note. Put it by your laptop while you're working, and I think we'll all be better. So that's the end. Thanks for not falling asleep.